Hello, you're back. Do you get a chance to finish up with that client?
Yes, I did. Yes, I took care of that.
Okay.
My other issue, you brought up advancement in the company, and maybe part of the reason why I have been disgruntled is I noticed that a few months ago, Laura got a promotion, and I've been here longer. I feel like I'm more experienced. She's had to come to me several times for help, and I'm wondering, why did I get passed over? I think that's the time that I kind of started feeling like along, and at the same time new employees coming in, and I just started feeling like what's wrong? Like, I don't know if Laura was, in line before. I have no idea, but I feel like I was passed over for someone who is less experienced than me.
Normally, I don't explain why other people got promoted or why other people are advancing. But what I will say is that Lori do have more experience in this particular profession. You've got your experience just from being here, and I know you're entry level. Initially, you got here. You've been here 3 years, and Lori has worked other places. She has about 10 years experience, and she has a master's in this field. You may not have known that, and it wasn't something that I felt like I should discuss with other employees. So I really keep that part. I keep a tight grip on that part of it. Could I have opened it up and had each person to apply for it? I could have done that, but you would prefer that if I was going to open up a position, you would prefer that you really had an opportunity and a chance for that advancement. And I know already, based off what she had, her experience, her other additional trainings and stuff, that you would not have qualified over her. Now, you may say, okay, well, you don't know what I have. Well, I know I have your HR file. If you have more things you've done since you've been here that would have shown more certification or degrees or whatever, then I would have missed that. Do you have other certification or advanced degree?
I'm working on it. I'm
Okay,
working
good.
on my advanced degree. But I was under the impression, because around that time, I noticed that management came in, and I was under the impression that maybe management had something to do with her promotion, and maybe not pushing you to do it, but, giving you a little, I guess, guidance. And as my supervisor, I feel like sometimes you're not a big enough advocate or a buffer between us and upper management. It's kind of, sometimes it's like you don't stand up for us.
One thing that an employee will never know about me as a supervisor is that you'll know that I advocate for you, but you won't know how I advocate and what type of arguments. I always refer back to my military career. Once I get my marching orders, once I get the directives, I'm willing to go and execute them as if they was mine. In most cases, by the time I bring a situation to you or bring the new changes to you, I've already discussed it with management. I've already advocated. I've already explained the difficulty of trying to do or implement the new thing that they're asking. But once I've voiced that concern, then I go ahead and execute it, and I bring it to my employees as if it was my idea. I advocate daily for you guys about different things. I advocate about things that you don't know that may have changed here. Like, before we didn't have water fountains in here. That for me, that was a big issue for me. And they said, well, the machine has bottled water. Why don't we allow them to purchase from there? We should be able to have water freely within our organization for the employees we have here. We shouldn't have to go out to the machine and buy a bottle of water every day. It should be good filtered water, quality water, and that's what we got. We got good filtered water here for you guys to drink. That sounds small, but to me that's big. That's advocating. For you guys to be able to leave early on Fridays if you're willing to work longer other days as compensation, I got that. Instead of just trying to pay you, some people would prefer time off. So yeah, helped create the option of being able to get time off in lieu of getting extra hour, extra pay. Some people really value just time off. So those who have put in extra time, comp time, instead of getting extra pay, they want to be able to get off on Friday at 12 or 1. You prefer the pay, so You take the money as your instead of actually having time off, and everybody choose what they want.
Okay, I mean, you're making some really valid points and maybe opening my eyes up to a bigger picture. But there are there's just so much that we can't even fit into this session, and maybe I should have brought some of these things up before. But, I see that your administrative supervision is there. But sometimes when you bring us in as a group to give us supervision, I don't feel like I feel like it should be more educational. I feel like you should do more teaching instead of more directing or more micromanaging.
Well, micromanaging is something I do when I feel like especially with the new staff, more than half is new. That's just where I am. And that's something that I've found has been very effective for me, and it's been beneficial to me. Until I feel like a bird can fly, I'm not pushing them out the nest. All right? And you're a bird that can fly, but again, sometimes you can sow bad seeds amongst the others. And that's why I bring it in everybody, gets the same information. And there's times because you already have the knowledge, you already have the understanding of where it is, you could be excused from the meeting, but I don't want to do that. I want to reiterate it again, so that when you do have an infraction, or a person has an infraction, I just did the training again, I just talked about it, everybody signed for it, and again, I can hold you accountable to the standard you already know to hold up to. But because I just did the information again, I just talked to you about it, just refreshed it. So I am a micromanager for new people. If everybody been here for 4 or 5 years, I would be a little bit more lenient and open to people setting their own times, coming in as long as the task is done and production's up. When those things are not being done, like right now, we're not meeting production. Not just because your numbers are low, but because we have a whole bunch of new people. Once we get meeting production, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have to micromanage, but I need to know that how many people you saw today. You saw one on Monday. You was here for 9 hours. You saw 2 on Tuesday. I don't know where you were, but I have to account for that. You getting paid for 8 hours. You got paid for Monday. I haven't asked you what you did Monday. When you saw one person.
Well, now I'm trying not to take offense to that, because now I feel like you're kind of questioning my integrity.
I'm not questioning integrity. What I am calling on right now is, since we were talking about this, what did you do on Monday and Tuesday? For 8 hours, you saw one person for 30 minutes. What did you do the rest of the hour, the 7.5 hours?
Well, I had a couple of PRN problem issues that came up, a couple of as-needed issues. I went out and I saw a couple of families, as well as I made many phone calls. And I'm not sure that you guys are noticing. Production may be down, but our caseloads are going up too. And sometimes it's really overwhelming. And, as our supervisor, it's almost like instead of you giving us benefit of the doubt, it's kind of like, no, bring on as many cases as you can. My employees can handle it. And it's like you have no regard for us in that aspect. And so I worked 8 hours just because I only saw one person in the office for 30 minutes. Doesn't necessarily mean that I didn't get any more work done. I have to admit that I didn't get my documentation in on time, and that's probably why this is questionable. But like I said, our caseloads are growing.
I understand it, but if you submit your PRN forms showing that you had it, then I can understand the hours. But again, I haven't seen those yet, so I don't know. Here we're 3 days later. I don't know what you did as PRN. Those PRN you had 3 or 4 PRN. That would only account for 4 hours. So that's 4.5 hours. I don't want you to explain the other hours right now. Just submit the forms, the information that I need, so I can look at it, and then I can say, okay, I understand. Same thing for Tuesday. I do understand situations happen, things happen on short notice, but I just need you to send me an email, say I've had several periods. That will help me to understand what's going on. When I look at the status board, you saw one person. That's all I'm about. How we get paid is through the number of people we see.
Mm-hmm.
We get paid per customer. And if you saw PRN, those PRNs count too, but you just still got your load that you have to see. And because you haven't seen those, it starts to make me worried and concerned about production. I'm paid to make sure our production is up, that we hit the numbers every month. Your job is to hit the numbers that you assign. That's why we get paid, and that's why we have a job. And our main priority, our number one priority, is our consumers. So, how can we reach those goals, even and still have PRN? Can we defer PRN, some of those PRNs to tomorrow? Can we spread them out? Are those PRNs so dire that they have to be taken care of right now?
Not all the time. It's just sometimes when you're on the phone and the family sounds desperate, you feel like you need to do it right then, and you don't. I sometimes don't stop and say, "Well, what can I help you through it right now with a phone?" You know, and try to help out that way. Sometimes I just feel like, oh, this family really needs me right now, and I can do a better job about addressing that. But at the same time, when you mention about how important in our production, our client base, like you said, if we didn't have clients, we don't get paid. And sometimes they have some real issues. And, by you not always being one-on-one with the client, I know you make your supervision calls to kind of like check on us and, check the checker. But sometimes I feel like you don't engage enough in our clientele. Like you don't have enough engagement, and so sometimes I just feel like you're out of touch.
And that's gonna be the case. But what do you mean? Do you want me to go out and do your job with the clients? Do you want me to go make more visits with you? What would you have me to do?
No, I'm saying in terms of when we get complaints, when people call in, it's almost like as our supervisor, you don't want to handle it. You want us or me, and the others of us that's been here a little longer. It's kind of like, well, you can't address that where it's really something that I feel like you should be doing. And because of that, I feel like, as a supervisor in this workforce, in this field, I feel like you should have more interaction with our clientele.
For example, you're saying that if the client is disgruntled about the pay, where we were supposed to make sure they got their pay because we became their payee, you're saying that the client didn't get their check this month, or this week, and you were supposed to bring it. You feel like I should get involved with them being disgruntled about it? You were the one supposed to make sure they got their check. The check is in the office. You just had to pick it up from our office manager, take it to them. If you had tasks or something going on that you couldn't get it to that particular client, that's what you're making reference to, then all you would need to do is ask someone else to take a job to check off and make sure the client signed for it. We are the payee for their Social Security check. And it's divided up. We make sure that all the bills paid, and we divide up what's left into allotments over 4 weeks. They have a right to be upset. How do I say that that you're not wrong for not taking the check to them? They need their check. They want their check. What should I say to the client?
Well, that's not exactly the issue that I had in mind. I was thinking more of a few weeks ago, we had a family who, a mother estranged from her spouse, and he was harassing, and it was causing distress with the children, and it was something that I felt like I could handle as a case manager. I could only do so much. But when the client called, she said she basically didn't feel like I was doing enough, and she wanted to talk to the supervisor. And when I approached you with that and gave you a little synopsis of what's going on, you were like, you're the case manager. You should basically know how to handle this, when the client actually wanted to talk to the supervisor. And I feel like she would have been more reassured of what was going on.
You feel like I should have went and talked to her?
Basically.
Do you feel like you had done all you could do for that client?
I felt like I did all I could do in terms of a client having the right to self-determination. And when she said, I want to talk to the supervisor, I felt like that was my out. Like it was time for me to let it go and bring it to you.